Hi, I'm Pete, and welcome to Just a Few Acres Farm. This is episode 1 of the Farmall 856 Restoration / Freshen Up. I'm calling this series Big Tractor in a Little Shop. It's so big in here, it's hard for me to get a shot of the whole thing at once. But I have enough aisles to work in on the side, and on the back, and on the other side. There's enough room to get through, get around, and the tractor is going to get smaller here pretty quick. Step 1 is remove the batteries. The sheet metal is off here, and I drained the coolant and messed with the wiring and the dash because I thought I was going to do some fix-it work out in the storage barn, but I decided to pull it in here and do a more complete job. I'll get to the list of what I think I'm going to do later on in the video. Of course, starting out, you never know really what you're going to run into. This tractor has one 6-volt battery on each side here, and they're wired to make 12 volts total. Here's the one on the other side. Oh, you're 9/16. You're 5/8. What's going on here? This is not an auspicious start. Oh, the wrench was in my back pocket. Well, the valve's off. What's going on here? Turn the fuel valve off, but I guess the fuel valve doesn't work. So we'll drain it into a drip pan. Mess number 1. Get in there. This piece that runs over the top of the fuel tank is just to mount the sheet metal to its seam here. No wiring clip on that side. Then there's this rear piece of sheet metal that does the same thing. Holds different pieces of the hood together. Get this wiring out of here. The wiring's all going to get replaced, so we can just chop away at it. Fuel gauge sender on top, that's getting replaced too, so we'll just snip that off. Fuel tank is empty. I guess we need a fancy wrench for that one. return line fuel tank. Something clipped on here? Yep. This is a temperature sender lead. The previous owner had put a standalone temperature gauge on here because the factory one stopped working. I don't want to cut it because I think it's still usable on another project. It is if I can get the bulb out of the head here. Hey, well, I thought that would be harder. This is that temperature gauge. I bought a replacement to go in here, temperature and fuel. I believe this is the ether button. Disconnected. Oh, there we go. Oh. That opens things up quite a bit. You can see what a mess the wiring is here. That's to be expected. Also, something I notice is it's wet stacking here on the number 6 cylinder, and maybe some on number 5. Wet stacking happens when an engine is just putting around instead of working hard, or sometimes in cold weather if it doesn't warm up all the way. It's unburnt fuel that makes its way out the exhaust and winds up either dripping out the top of the exhaust pipe or leaking out the manifold gasket joint. It's slobber. That's what it is. It's normal. Let's get these battery wires and battery trays out of the way here. Well, phooey on you. This, I believe, was power feed to a round baler. There's a plug in the back of the tractor and a lead and ground off the battery here. Those bolts are going to be fun to get. Let's see here. How will that one come out? Oh, don't need that, I guess. This thing here that I uncovered when I pulled off the battery tray is hydraulic clutch assist. Makes the clutch really easy to push in. There's a little hydraulic cylinder down there, and it's connected to the MCV. Multiple control valve, which is down below me. The magic hydraulic box. Must be one bolt and an alignment dowel. Something of the sort. Ah, one of those. bolted right back here, and it's got a 12-point bolt in it. One of these. On this side we got a homemade step. With a lot of washers under it. These steps are available aftermarket, real reasonable, so that's what I'll be putting back on. What am I doing here? Well, I ask myself that same question just about every day. What I mean is, what am I doing with all this? Well, I'm stripping it down. I'm going to strip it right down to the powertrain. I got a bunch of reasons for doing that. Number one is I can clean it off real well and paint it real well that way. After I get it stripped down, I'm going to pull it outside and pressure wash it and degrease it and get everything nice and spotless on the powertrain and pull it back in, and you know, we got something clean to work with. The other reason is I got to take all this down to get in the transmissions to do my work in there. And I've got various oil leaks, which I'm going to get into as we go along, that I'm kind of scratching my head a little bit about where they're coming from sometimes and where they need to be fixed. Let's get the rest of this baler wearing off of here. Zip ties all over. This is the outlet for the baler here, pin connector. Get back on there. If you don't want to get back on there, I'm just fine with that. You just need to tell me. I don't know, that thing's smarter than I am. We'll just leave it. Next, the fenders. The fenders are attached to the deck here, those bolts I just took out, and then there's a U-bolt that goes around the axle that needs to come off. And I think I'm going to need some double wrench action. I also think I'm going to need to turn it left. Not right. See how badly bent that fender is? I think they're both bent. I'm going to have to straighten them while they're off. Oh, this is going to be fun. Well, how does that work? Yeah. Where's my other wrench? I have to go to plan B here with the fenders. The top of the U-bolt above the nut is so badly corroded that it was twisting the U-bolt off. I heated it up and all that rigmarole, and I'm going to take the fender apart this way instead. This tractor's been brush painted here, and it's rusty underneath the paint. A lot of rust in that fender and a lot of bentness too. Now that I got the heavy part off, I think I can work this mount off and drop it on my foot. Well, you need to come out. Maybe. You know, I've been thinking about it. It takes guts to be an organ donor. These fenders have been kind of a pain. There we go. Actually, it's the U-bolt that was the pain. That's the only thing. Not done being a pain yet. Put all this business out of here and get it out of the way. It's all gotta go. Next job is to get this deck off. There's part one anyway. I gotta drop these brake pedals down to get the deck off. So we got a couple springs here to get off. And then we got a pin here to pull to drop the pedal. This real greasy mess in here. Quite often the O-rings in these cylinders leak. And that may be one of the leaks I need to take care of. Its own little world down in here. I'm going to pull this pin out here. It had a center pin through here, and it ought to come out now. But it comes out from the inside, so it takes some trickery to get it out. That ought to be enough. I guess that did it. Now the clutch pedal, it's got the pin here, but it's got a cotter pin in front of it, in the middle of it here in this pin, and then it's got this pin that pivots on here, and a spring. A bushing washer. Huh. I guess that pushes on the piston in the hydraulic clutch. It's got a ball right in there that piston pushes on. We'll seal it up there. Huh. Huh? I think we're almost there on the platform. If I don't break a bolt here. Even if I do break a bolt. Yeah. What do we got here? Huh. Lots of debris. Hard to see anything. These are the spacers that hold the deck up here. There's a bunch of them. There's one on the brake. We definitely got the improved park lock right there. There's how she works. That was 4 or 5 hours worth of work, and I'll continue it in the next video, the tear down, and we'll finish it out so we can bring it outside and wash it off. I made a list of the things I think I need to do to this tractor, and here it is. The front end needs a lot of work. It needs new tires. I got new tires. I got new wheel bearings and seals. I got a new hub, thrust bearings, kingpin bushings, and tie rods. They're here in the shop. The radiator needs to be removed, flushed, and descaled. It's got a lot of scale in it. It needs new belts and hoses, new transmission cooler lines. I have a new wiring harness already from Brillman. It needs fuel and temp gauge, which I already have. Dump valve switch and light, I already have. New shift collars and linkages. I need to go back through here and go all the way down through the shift linkages and tighten everything up. It's quite loose. New detent plates in both the speed transmission and the range transmission. I get my parts from Red Run Right, which carries, what's the name of that company? High Capacity. That's it. New transmission brake. New brake cylinder seals. You saw how much those are leaking. Fenders, I don't know. I'm going to spend a lot of time straightening them, patching holes, patching rust. Should I get a new set? I haven't heard that great of things about the quality of new fenders, but we'll have to figure that one out. New seat. I'm not real crazy about the 56 series seats. Should I put an aftermarket seat in? Maybe a nice air ride seat? I don't know. I have trouble going away from the old look, but we'll see. A buggy top, like it had on it, or a canopy with a ROPS. I'm not sure which yet. New muffler, of course. You got to finish with a new muffler and new paint. Lots of new paint on this tractor. I have a bunch of questions that I'm not sure whether I'll need to do the following work or not. I think it might need a new rear main seal. And I might have to split the tractor to do that. It was dripping oil in that vicinity when I left it here for a while. And of course, once you get it apart, you got to take a look at the clutch and see how that is. Not sure about all that. And I got to find some leaks in the rear end. It had a pretty good pool of oil under it sitting here in the shop for a while. Could be the PTO seals. Could be the 3-point arms because they have sensing linkages inside the final drive for them. Could be a lot of things. Once I get the tractor cleaned off, I'm going to leave the transmission fluid in it. And once I clean it off, I can see more exactly where it's leaking from before I drain the fluid. So that's it. That's what I know of right now. I'm sure I'll run into 100 other things as I go through this. A couple housekeeping notes. I will put this project in a playlist as I have the Farmall MD and the Farmall Super C projects. If you don't know how to find playlists on YouTube, Google it, because then you can watch one episode after another and it'll all fall into place instead of being random. What else? Oh, I will number these episodes. This is episode number 1, and so you can keep track of where you are. They'll be in sequential order. Stay tuned for the next episode when I finish this assembly and we'll get her cleaned up. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.